So you guys recently acquired Backupify, right?
That's correct.
Back like how long ago?
We acquired Backupify in December of 2014.
Gotcha. Now, Backupify, as I understand, was running or is running in AWS, and you have your own cloud, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we run our own cloud infrastructure, and Backupify was using Amazon's cloud infrastructure to provide their services.
And it sounds like you have chosen to move the stuff from AWS into your own cloud. I mean, it sounds like you've got a big enough cloud. What I think you said like 160 petabytes. Certainly,
That's correct.
you
Yeah.
know, I mean, people put things in the cloud for a lot of reasons. One is because they don't know how to run their own, but clearly you know how to run your own already, and your monthly bill from Amazon has probably gotten pretty large, and
Yeah, too
so
many digits.
yeah, too many digits. Yeah, so you've gotten to that point where you say, look, we want to I don't know what's the word
Migrate.
migrate. Yeah, well, just migrate. But I was trying to think of a word that means like bring out of the cloud and I don't know land. You want to land your your data, take it out of the Amazon cloud and bring it to yours. Uh, so how much data do you have over there?
So currently we have almost 12 petabytes of data in Amazon,
Hmm.
and that data is growing pretty fast because our Backupify product lines are quite popular. So yeah, that's what we're working on moving over, and we built a ton of custom infrastructure and software to do that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting engineering challenge. I can't imagine what the monthly gigabit bill is from Amazon as well. But the moving that amount of data, so you've chosen to do it directly over internet connection.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's one of those things that you end up having to think about, and really depends on how much data you want to move. So if you look at it like if you had a gigabyte of data to move, you definitely move that over the wire. But if
Hmm.
you had 10 terabytes of data to move, that would be pretty good. You'd probably be better off shipping that over FedEx. But
Right?
once you start getting back past about a petabyte, you're better off again going over the wire because the number of drives that you have to turn is so many. Like if you look at it, that 3.5 inch hard drive, the max capacity of them now is 8 terabytes in size. That's the largest one. So when
Hmm.
you think about it, I'd need to move well over 1,000 of those 8 terabyte drives between me and Amazon if I was going to move 12 petabytes. It'd actually be north of 1,500 of those drives.
Hmm.
And so the issue that you end up with that is that the failure rate of those drives in shipping, which is actually something that we know because of our regular business, we end up receiving over a petabyte of data a month through the mail from our
Okay.
customers, which is kind of insane. But the failure rate of a 3.5 inch hard drive is actually pretty high in the mail. They break quite easily. So the number of returns, reships, it gets really
Interesting.
complicated really fast.
Yeah,
And it's actually
that's a really
easier and
interesting.
faster to move it over the wire.
I didn't anticipate that part. I've never been a fan of using disks as a shipping mechanism. I'm much more
Yep.
of a tape guy for that premise. I mean for that method. So what about the idea of using tape instead of disk for that?
I think tape you probably end up pretty throughput bound, or you'd need a lot of tape drives. And in the case of Amazon, they actually don't support tape at all. Like the only export
Uh,
method they support is USB hard drive, and so that would be pretty complicated in order to do that.
yeah, I think I could I think we could argue out the tape versus disc discussion over there, but that's it's really interesting. So Amazon really didn't give you that as a choice. So discs were your only choice, and then
We
you
chose
looked at
the
the failure
wire.
rate and and you chose the wire. So that's got to be a really interesting like to generate. So you've got to in order to pump it up, you've got be able to pump data and not have this take 5 years. You've got to be able to pump up the export speed, and you got to be able to handle a pretty constant import speed, right?
That's correct. It's doubly challenging because of the type of data that Backupify stores. That it's mostly email and docs and things like that,
Mhm.
which are relatively small objects.
Right?
So when you look at the object count, it's in the billions.
Wow.
Worth of 10 billion. It's in the tens of billions that you're looking at. So that's many, many objects, which means that our system has to support creating and ingesting, north of tens of thousands of objects per second in order to complete this task in any reasonable period of time. And so it's kind of crazy because we have to build out an object store that's incredibly performant for the need to bring all this data in. And then over time, we're going to have to adjust and tune that back down because the regular workload doesn't require that performance. And obviously,
Right.
we're making this migration so that hopefully we can get some much better cost efficiencies than operating in the public cloud.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of the problem that Intuit has. So I did a lot of work for Intuit, and they get 99% of their activity in 3 days of the year.
Yeah.
Right? Basically April 12th through April 15th. And so they have to build this giant infrastructure for, this massive load, and then the rest of the year it sits there and does nothing. You might have a very similar problem there once you get this migration done. So we're going to have to do a second interview once you get this migration done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'd love to hear stories about how that goes.
Well, we've got some more stories already.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, thanks a lot for taking the time.
We now know. Oh, sorry. There's
That's
one
all right.
little
Go ahead.
tidbit which you may want to try to figure out. We now know how much data you need to move over the internet for level 3 to call you and ask if everything's okay.
So they were worried that like something untoward was going on?
They just wanted to know why, because all of a sudden they saw an enormous traffic spike coming across the network, and they had not seen that before, and so you get a call from their NOC that says, "Hey, what's going on here?" And just wanted to make sure that it was something that we were doing on purpose.
That's I can imagine. Yeah, you're increasing their bill over there as well. Well, anyway, thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you.
All right, we'll just